Mark might qualify as a scout if you have a merit badge in golf. Do you?
We do.
Oh, come on, you don't. You don't.
Mark and Carolyn represent the best in America in terms of having really, really good values, great moral fiber, a sense of community, a sense of family. I can't think of any two people who would better represent the values of the Boy Scouts and deserve this award than Mark and Carolyn.
They're just unbelievably loyal and caring friends. They're always there for their friends in good times and bad, and they're willing to help them when they need help. And that, the best way I could sum that up is to say they're game. They're just always game. Need somebody to go to an art history lecture? Sure. Need somebody to help out on a troubled nonprofit like the opera? Sure, I'll do that. They're the kind of people who never let you down. They're always there for you.
We are given opportunities in this world, and especially as Americans, and even more especially in Texas. We are given opportunities that most people will never, ever have. And we have been blessed in many, many ways. And Mark and Carolyn are just enormously blessed. And I don't mean in material things necessarily, though they have been. But I mean in their character and in all that God has put in them by their experiences as well as their family, etc. And so all those things that are put into us are to be used for other people. And that is what the Boy Scouts is training people to do. And so they are exemplary of helping people take the gifts, the talents, the resources that are God-given and to use them for the good of their fellow man, their neighbors. And that's a beautiful picture of how God tells us to live in His Word, but it's also a beautiful picture of reflecting that to our world.
You know, the interesting thing about when you talk about individuals like Mark and Carolyn is that words pale. You know, you can go look for all the things, but they sound like cliches. And so, really, to be honest with you, the two of them are two of the most genuine people I've ever met. And so, everything they do for others. They're not selfish in any way, shape, or form. And that's the way I've always found them. To Mark, I said, and I'll continue to say, it's humbling for me to be asked to say good things about Mark Johnson, because I think there are a lot of people in San Antonio who may be able to say it better. But I would at least like to say to him, thank you for believing enough in me to allow me to say good things about you.
I was first introduced to the Dallas Can Academy when I started Texas Capital Bank, and Mark started it with me, really. But they wanted to expand into San Antonio, and I thought of all the people that I knew in San Antonio who could help them the most and who would represent their values the most in terms of helping these kids get a break in life. And of course, immediately I thought of Mark and Carolyn. And I think, you know, they have performed admirably for that organization and have really made them successful in San Antonio.
She was in Kerrville examining a new museum, and it was next to the courthouse. And as she was walking outside, she saw a couple walking out of the courthouse, and they really looked giddy. So she walked over to them and said, "You look so happy. I just wanted to know who you are." And they introduced themselves and they said, "We're so happy because we just got married." And with that, Carolyn said, "Well, that is wonderful." And she reached in her purse, she pulled out a $100 bill and said, "Please go celebrate with this."
One of the first events I ever went to was the charity ball, and she was the chair of that event. That means they have an investment in the community to do the right thing. And I've seen that over and over and over. for the last 12, 13 years.
I had to correlate it back. I'm a Catholic school kid. And one of the things we learned is if you want to save your own soul, then you have to learn to give your life to other people. And I think that's what Mark and Carolyn do on a daily basis. They give their lives to other human beings. And they've both been very successful, but they don't look down on the other individuals. They're there to give them a helping hand and try to help humans day in and day out. That's one of the reasons they get involved with us, because they can see the value of trying to help all those children achieve success.
Mark and I again reconnected during the terrible 80s when all Texas banks were struggling mightily. And we concocted a plan to merge our two organizations. I was in Fort Worth at the time at another large Texas bank. And we went through the trials and tribulations of that. The merger never happened. But Mark and I were in a foxhole for about 2.5 years together at that time and became closer friends. And I think when you're going through tough times with a person, you really get to know that person. And Mark was just as solid as a rock. So with the passage of time, we both lost our banks, but Mark continued in the banking business. I went elsewhere and later on decided to try to start a new bank in Texas called Texas Capital Bank. And Mark was the first person that I tried this concept on. Just by coincidence, he and his wife Carolyn joined my wife and me in Dallas for dinner one night, and I outlined the plan on the back of a napkin. And Mark thought it was terrific, and not too long thereafter, we were both at Texas Capital Bank.
Carolyn was driving down the street on her way to a meeting, and she looked over and saw an elderly lady standing with a cane looking at her car that had stopped on this busy street. And Carolyn pulled over and found out that the lady's car had broken down. And so she put the lady in her car, and they went to the filling station and brought the filling station people back, and they realized they couldn't fix it, and so they called for a tow truck. And with that, Carolyn turned to this sweet little lady and said, "Let me take you to your home." And the lady guided her. She was a little confused, but she guided her to her house. And her final words when Carolyn got her in the house and settled were, "I need your name and your telephone number." And Carolyn gave it to her. And about a week later, Carolyn received a call from that lady's daughter. And the daughter told her, "My mother just passed away." And she had as her final words, "I want you to call this lady and thank her again for me and tell her that she's the angel God sent to me that day." And that's a story that really exemplifies many stories of Carolyn Johnson.
Since I've known them, they've epitomized the qualities of life that are exemplified in the Scouting oath and code. I greatly admire them for their ability to be civic leaders, raise a solid family, and whenever I'm around either of them, it's all smiles and laughs. I've never heard a bad word, an argument. It's just been a pleasure.
Mark and Carolyn have always been people who are of great faith, and that they have given back to the community in the way they have, and the way I've witnessed them doing this over the years is something that doesn't surprise me at all, because it's so embedded in who they are. I believe in giving back to the community that gives to you. And Mark and Carolyn do that almost as well as any couple that I've ever seen.
My reaction to Mark and Carolyn getting this honor is that there's nobody more deserving of it. They're just great people. They have a wonderful legacy of family. They've represented the best of San Antonio for years and their whole lives, and there's nobody that should be more recognized. They are the best of Texas.
The Alamo Council couldn't have done a better job than select Mark and Carolyn for this Good Scout Award, because they exemplify every aspect of what Boy Scouting is about. And so congratulations to Mark and congratulations to Carolyn. And you've earned this.
So Mark and Carolyn, Sheila joins me in extending to both of you our very heartiest and warmest congratulations on this very, very well-deserved honor. I'm sorry we can't be there to celebrate with you, but we know you're having a wonderful time and a wonderful experience. Congratulations.
Congratulations on receiving the Good Scout Award. But I want to say that you have earned it because you have epitomized the qualities of scouting throughout the 12 years that we have been together. But from what I've heard from your friends, from your family, you've epitomized this for many, many years. Congratulations. Your community and your family are much better for having you in their midst.
Congratulations on receiving the Good Scout Award. I am so proud of you. You are so deserving because you reflect those attributes that are what make you receiving this award so valuable.
Congratulations, Carolyn. You and Mark certainly deserve this award, and we are so proud of you. And I want you to know that when I looked over the law, the Scout law, and saw that there were 12 wonderful characteristics, 11 out of 12 isn't bad. So I decided I would just not worry about that for you because you fulfill every one of those except for that thrifty.
Mark, I keep asking for samples from the bank and you don't come up with any.